Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. About a minute left for pre-open. It looks like we'll have a good start. 11,500 could be here for starters. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com is with us. Ms. Tulsian, good morning. I wanted your thoughts first on Larsen Toubro, the first ever buyback. How to approach the stock now?
Sanuj, I'm not very convinced and enthused with the idea of moving a buyback proposal, because firstly, if you take the L&T, 50,000 crore is a net worth. I don't know, even if you take 10%, the 5,000 crore will get allocated for buying about maybe 3% of the present equity. Secondly, if you take the market price vis-a-vis the offer, the expected buyback price, it should be at 1400 plus. Then why should a company who is having a debt of about 10,000 crore should really go for a buyback, even apportioning 5,000 crore for that? So honestly, I don't like this idea, because in fact we have seen in the past that if the issue price, if the buyback price is lower than the current prevailing price, by at least by about 10%, market does not receive it quite well. And in fact, this is seen to be more an expensive process if you want to reduce your equity, which is already to about 280 crore. And if you want to reduce it by 10, 12, 13, 14 crore, I don't understand the logic. This being, because if there would have been some identified promoter and if they would not have participated, I can understand the logic. So I'm not enthused with the idea of buyback proposal having mooted by the L&T.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Tulsian. Just wanted to inform you and viewers that markets are starting surprisingly soft, actually. The Nifty, the Sensex showed a uptick, but the Nifty is starting very slow at this point in time. And what's dragging it, power grid, Infosys is dragging 3% at this point in time. HDFC...
For currency, actually, 0.6% is a big move
70?
on the dollar rupee. Yeah, so
I saw 70.09.
69.80, I think, is where we are right now. So 69.83
okay.
there.
That may not be terribly positive for the IT stocks, which have run up a lot. So probably money will circulate away from IT just for a trading move. But that's important, that the number has changed from 70 to 69 is important. So IT stocks could have a bit of a negative because of that, just at least someone creaming away profit. Maybe that's what explains. Okay, now the Nifty's picked up steam. So it's only Infosys which is lagging with about a 2% downtick, and the other tech stocks are slightly soft. But there is a lot to say for other companies. L&T starting 3% higher. HDFC, the housing company, starting 4.5% higher. ONGC is up, but I don't know why. TCS, again, up. Probably those who are selling Infosys are buying TCS. Tata Motors is up. Eicher Motors, Hindalco. All those stocks up about 1.5%. I think it's still a little wayward. We will have to wait and see. I would have thought the oil refining companies would be somewhat excited. Let's just pick up BPCL, HPCL and IOC and see whether there's any cheer at all in those stocks. No, unchanged.
Okay, well, L&T is really the big mover right now. Macquarie has a target price of 1,825 on L&T. They say that the buyback sends a clear message on willingness to return capital. Remember, this buyback is over and above the regular dividend payout, which L&T has been doing for many quarters, which is around 35% of its profits. TCS is also up about 2% Well, what is Infy's loss is TCS's gain, at least for this morning. And Tata Motors, Anuj was pointing that out as well. A little bit of a recovery is what we're seeing there. Let's get a quick comment on what's happening in the commodity space as well before discussing some of these stocks. Manisha Gupta is here to give us a roundup of all the action there. Manisha, still seeing some weak signs in the crude market?
Well, yes, that is an area that hasn't really improved. 0.25% down is what we continue to trade there. But you could be looking at some positive cues in the metal space. So copper and zinc, remember, they were trading at a one-year lows in the previous week. They have come off those kind of lows. We've seen some buying in the Shanghai and the LME markets right now. The US dollar has taken a pause, and that has been supportive. Also, this is the week when US and China are holding their trade talks. So any progress in that is what the markets want, and that is what you are seeing in the prices also. But good cues and a very strong ones continue for the steel prices, where the Chinese prices are at a 7-year highs now. The steel prices in Shanghai are up 20% in this year. We have seen tight supplies, good demand, and output curbs is what really seems to be supporting. Northern China province, Tangshan, is cutting output by 50%. That has been happening from 20th of July. And the winter curbs have been preponed by a month. That is what the markets are reading into the price movements right now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Manisha, for that. Mr. Tulsian, I wanted to ask you about Infosys as well. The stock is starting a little lower. Would you worry at all about the CFO's resignation?
See, Lata, again, I don't think that should really be a cause of worry. But again, two inferences can be drawn that the top level is getting strengthened with the removal of the people. I'm not saying that must have happened for the resignation, but maybe inducting some new and the new team coming in, or maybe, but this will definitely be having a negative impact, because as such, market has been very gung-ho and positive on the TCS going forward, the way with the post their Q1 numbers, management commentary. So this will be having a near-term impact on the Infosys, maybe about 3-4% weakness may be seen.
Okay. Prakash, what about L&T? Prakash Niwan?
So,
the buyback, you think it would be a positive?
No, so I think, the math is in favor of the stock getting some firmness, Sonia. You have about 48,000 crores as the free reserves. 25% of that is available to be utilized. If the buyback happens to be closer to about 8,000 crores and the price is anywhere between 1,450 to 1,500, the market will love it. So, because L&T hasn't delivered on the stock, and if they're going to give back capital, which has been lying with them beyond the dividend payout that you mentioned, the market will take it well. But it also tells you that things are not very great on the capital goods sector as yet. These guys don't really have, the ability to deploy this capital in any inorganic growth or organic growth per se. So that is something you have to take with it. So short term, yes, it will probably reflect a little bit of positive on the stock.
Okay, 4% higher is what you have in pre-opening. I mean, it's going to be about two stocks for starters, as we thought. The Larsen Toubro on the way up, 4% higher. Infosys on the way down, 3% lower, sort of negating each other. Apart from that, of course, there are other stocks moving up or down. Mr. Tulsian, of course, there's our thoughts are with people of Kerala. But in terms of stock angle, Federal Bank was quite soft on Friday. Your thoughts on how to approach the stock?
See, there are many stocks which will get impacted. Maybe the rubber planters, so you will be having on the tire stocks, again, the banks and NBFCs like Manappuram, Muthoot, Federal Bank, or maybe Kochi Shipyard, and maybe the insurance companies. But I think that I will probably, after having seen the numbers of Q1 for Federal Bank and Kochi Shipyard, probably I'll use this opportunity, I'll use this weakness, to buy both these stocks, but may remain away from the other stocks, maybe like general insurance companies. I'm not keeping a negative view on the life insurance, but maybe on general insurance, tire stocks, and maybe NBFCs, select NBFCs, one should avoid. But Federal Bank and Cochin Shipyard can be definitely looked to buy into at the lower level.
Okay, a smaller stock, Mr. Tulsian, Rain Industries could be in focus. Apparently, the ministry's move to ban the import of non-calcined coke, petroleum coke, is likely to affect them, and they have put out a notice. Green petroleum coke is what they import, and that has been prohibited. They are, of course, moving the Supreme Court, but immediately, is there any view on that stock? Do you track it?
See, Lata, that will definitely be having an impact, because they are making CPC, calcined petroleum coke, for which the raw material is, or the material is green petroleum coke. GPC is converted into CPC by them, and they are the largest producer apart from the Himadri Chemical and maybe some other players. So definitely this will be having an impact. But let's wait to see what kind of relief they get. But in the near term, that will definitely be having an impact on the stock price of Rain Industries.
Okay, well, the stock is now down almost about 5%, so keep an eye out on that. Titan, by the way, is flat. Just pull up the chart for you. It's been all over the place in the last 6 months, Titan. I mean, it's gone from 800 all the way to almost 1,000 and now back to 950. Mr. Tulsian, the management was a bit cautious. They said there is sluggishness in demand and they may not be able to do the 25% guidance for jewelry by FY19. Would that concern you, or would you continue to be a buyer in this stock?
No, Sonia, definitely that will be a cause of concern, and in fact it has to be read in context to the recent rise which we have seen in the share price, and whatever I say, wherever we have been taking a buy call, it has to be in correlation to the share price at which it has been ruling. And if you see now ruling at a price of about 925, that seems to be quite high. And generally this second quarter, we always see to be dull because of there are no marriage season, and maybe the festival season also spending will start somewhere in the month of October, because this time Diwali being in the second week of November or maybe maybe first week of November. So we will definitely be seeing the profit booking in Titan going forward, and I won't be surprised to see the share correcting below 900 rupees or maybe at or around 900 rupees, because if jewelry is not, though we have seen the excellent performance from the watch division for this Q1, but I don't know how far that is sustainable. So unless until you see the growth of 20% plus or 24% plus coming in from the jewelry sector, you will not be taking a justifiable call on at the current valuation.
By the way, the pre-open has settled, and I just want to make a point here. Infosys dragging the Nifty by 20 points, L&T helping the Nifty by 20 points. So that's the exact opposite move that we are seeing right now. Ashwini, your thoughts on pre-open? It settled about 31 points higher, 11,500, 40 points higher on the bank Nifty. So is there a trade here, and what's your 9-10 call?
See, this was what I suspected, that you will not get your blockbuster open, but possibly after some sideways above this 11.5, you should be able to move on. So yes, you need to build your position, buy at the open, wait for dips, and overall maybe by end of the day, once market gets over Infosys, etc., you should be able to see upside. But this sort of market will give you opportunities to enter. So for the moment, ACC is a buy with a stop of 1560. Target of 1680, that is the 914 call. Okay.
Just wanted to inform that bond yields have opened slightly softer, about 2 basis points or maybe 1.5 basis points softer. The rupee not weakening further is always positive because imports are not expensive, and therefore the CPI is kind of under control. That's helping the bond, and that's, I think, L&T Finance. I saw some of the finance companies are obviously advantaged by it, and I thought L&T Finance was among them that was starting off in the green. Mr. Tulsian, we wanted to ask you about this retail competition as well. The newspaper is saying that Alibaba may tie up with Reliance Retail and pick up a 51% stake in that unit, that Amazon is likely to snap up more from Aditya Birla. This space is getting extremely competitive. Would you worry about any of the listed guys?
See, Lata, in fact, I'm taking a positive call on that. In fact, if you really see, probably this is compelling all the global press to come and, have their presence in India. Now, coming on the Alibaba's, correlating with 5 billion and 51% stake, I won't buy this argument at all. No, not at all, because Reliance Retail can't get valued at about maybe 10 billion, because it has to be at a valuation of about 17-18 billion. And I don't think that having reached to such a level of maybe about 1 lakh crore, turnover expected in this financial year, or crossing that, the Reliance Industries or Mukesh Ambani will give it on platter for 51% at $5 billion. So in fact, valuations will all become quite stretched for all these companies because of the interest to be evinced by all these players. Whether it is in the Aditya Birla retail stores or maybe Godrej, or because they are all the smaller players, but the larger players will definitely be having an advantage, and that is giving a positive bias on the stocks like Reliance Industries, who are owning Reliance Retail to the extent of 100%.
Okay, well, for now, Reliance is holding up almost 0.3%. And you know what? If the pre-opening rate plays out like this will be the first time the Nifty opens above 11,500. So that's another mark that could be scaled up this morning. After L&T, which is the top gainer, about 5% higher, Tata Motors, surprise, is second in line. Of course, Anuj was pointing that for a last few days as well. Prakash Devan, at 250, you think Tata Motors has bottomed out, or is this just a trading pop that we're seeing? I mean, this is an endless debate, right? But
yeah,
your view now?
Endless debate where we've gone wrong most of the times. What seems like happening is that the pessimism that was attached to the sales figures, which we were seeing through, is probably overdone. And what could turn around the company is, all the efforts that they have put in the last 6 to 9 months, which have actually started showing improvement in terms of efficiencies. And if CV cycle is favorable, JLR, few pockets like China, the US turn around or even stabilize, I would be surprised that Tata Motors has a very sharp bounce back from here, because it's so oversold and underbought, underowned, that the moment a sliver of interest comes in, it could probably move up that 300, 330 mark in the next couple of months very sharply.
Okay. Sudarshan, I wanted to ask you about the oil refining companies. They're starting mildly higher at this point, but they've been losers this week. Is there a trade?
No, there's no trade. They're weak and they're underperforming the Nifty, the broad market. So these marginal gains are immaterial, and there's nothing in the chart. They are at their lows.
And the other set of stocks that could be in focus would be the tire companies. They tell us that, I mean, informally, we were trying to get them on the channel, but they've been saying that the rubber prices or rubber supply is not affected yet at all. Mitesh, any of the tire stocks that you are tracking, and any thoughts?
See, I do like CEAT and Balakrishna Industries. I think both these stocks have done very well, and I think the uptrend remains. CEAT, I think anything close to about 1420, 1425 would be a good entry point. In case we get a dip, I think today we might get the stock around those levels. Buy with the stop below 1400. 1490 could be a target. On the other side, Balakrishna Industries, if you look at the charts, it's done extremely well. Only on Friday did we get some kind of dip, but I think it's already on its way to head to targets of around 1450 in the next few days.
All right. Well, of course, 30 seconds left for markets to open. Mr. Tulsian, we'll thank you on that note. Of course, we'll have a conversation with you on closing bell. Ashwani, just wanted your thoughts on Yes Bank as well before we start trade.
See, Yes Bank has probably covered all its losses that it had from the results. So my sense is that corporate banks overall will remain positive, should be bought on all dips. I think at some point you will see Yes Bank going up to 450.
Okay, well, that's huge, but let's just look at how the markets are going to open.